pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item we have, is there any public comments or questions concerning today's agenda?
I have one. What is the, Northeastern Pennsylvania Metropolitan Organization Board?
That's the transportation.
That's the transportation board that we sit on along with Monroe, Monroe. It's with NEPA out of, and it deals with PennDOT and road projects that occur within the in the region. So that is the metropolitan planning. So that's how we develop plans to repair bridges and roads in the county, not necessarily county roads, more state highways. There's a map of improvements that get approved by that board that we sit on to approve how the funding is spent that comes through PennDOT.
Do you all sit on the board or just you?
Excuse me?
Do you all sit on the board or is it just?
Well, I'm the rep, but as with everything else in the county, any commissioner can go and replace in place.
Okay, thank you.
Could you just please identify yourself for the
Sure,
record?
Patty Grooms.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So before we start, well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't have public comment on the agenda, but I welcome public comment later.
Yep, that's later when you get down to present public comment. Yep. Okay. Anything else on the agenda? Okay. So what we're going to do first, though, is we're going to jump to the end of the agenda. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, there's a delay. I just wanted to take the public comment time to apologize to everyone for not being there in person. I am in Harrisburg for a 2-day conference, and I'm also an award recipient. But I do miss being there in person, and thank you all for coming in.
Okay. So then, again, we're going to jump down to miscellaneous because Mr. Donlin has to get going. He wants to get to the bank with the check. As we've done in other times, twice a year, I believe we do this. We make a donation to Habitat for Humanity out of the Act 137 fund. These are the funds that are collected for the recording of documents in the county between the Recorder of Deeds office and the Pathonetary's office, and it has to be used for housing initiatives. Been going on for many years, but we are always happy to give Habitat the funding that they need to provide this housing. It's a total of $150,000 per year. This is the first of this year's checks, I believe, correct, Mike?
Yes.
And if you want to give us a little update on how many houses and where you are right now in the process.
We're working right now on 39 house in Pike County, and we're ready to pick a family for the 40th house. So, and we're having a garage sale, of course. It's one of our big fundraisers of the year. We have to put another building up. We are running out of space in the buildings we have, so we're putting up another building next to the one we have there, as soon as we can get a survey.
Store all the stuff we donate, all the stuff we have too much of.
Yes, yes.
I will be bringing up a truckload.
Okay.
So with that, we'll make the presentation to Mike and he can get to the bank, and as he does every time we get the bank. How many years has Habitat been going in the county?
About 27 years, 28 years, or something like that.
40 houses, 27
We
years.
want to take a step so we get Chris in the back too with the screen.
All right, we can do that if that's what we like to do. You just tell us what to do. We normally do.
Okay, ready? Flip this one and smile. Okay. Good, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Good work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you now. Take it easy. Thank you.
Okay, we move on to a motion to approve the May 6, 2026 agenda. Motion. Second. All in favor?
Second,
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion to approve the April 15, 2026 meeting minutes. Motion.
second,
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion to approve the April 22nd, 29th, 2026 conference minutes. Motion.
second,
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion to approve the payment from the general funds for county bills in the amount of $749,999.80. Motion.
second,
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve payment from the Hazardous Materials Fund in the amount of $69,157.71.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve payment from the Bridge Repair Fund in the amount of $44,591.07.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Under Personnel, motion to acknowledge receipt of a letter from President Judge Chelik advising that Allison Walsh will be effective June 1st, 2026, on an as-needed basis for less than 1,000 hours per year.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to recess the Commissioners' meeting to hold a salary board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to convene the salary board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the April 15th, 22nd, and 29th, 2026 salary board minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to set the hourly rate of Allison Walsh at $33.04 per hour as a part-time employee effective June 1st, 2026 on an as-needed basis for less than 1,000 hours per year.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the salary board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to reconvene the Commissioners' meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Under old business, motion to open bid for the purchase of groceries and frozen foods for the period of July 2026 through October 2026 on behalf of the correctional facility.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. All right, Tom?
Yeah, we have about 5 bids, and they're all gonna be different. Some are gonna be high and low, because they select what they wanna bid on the food for that time. So our first one is from Bernard Foods. Their bid is $11,998.44 with a bid bond. The next one is from Driscoll Foods. And their bid, $181,659.92. Next one is from
Excuse me,
the Villa.
could we ask what the assumptions were that were used for
Yes.
those bids?
When you say assumptions, ma'am, it's
I
not
mean, like
assumptions, but
number of people it's for and that kind of thing, were they all given the
They-
same?
they're given a requirement based on the amount that the jail decides they're gonna need for all their food for that 6-month period. And then everyone's given the same items. And then based on that, every company bids on different items. Like, some only bid on the bread, others bid on everything. That's why the numbers are just all over the charts. Then the step is to then make a motion to hold the bids off to be reviewed by the prison facility, to determine what is the best deal. And I will tell you, we've been doing this, the first time I was solicitor in '92, and we've been doing it since I came back in '05, and I'm sure we did it in between. It's the best remedy to make sure that the county pays the least for the foods and at the same time sustain a proper quality.
Thank you so much.
The bid from this one, $249,528.60.
What is that vendor from?
That's, Mobilla. The next one is from Cisco. Their total bid is $241,529.81, and they too also provide a bid bond. And the last one, Chris and I can't tell if this is actually another bid or it's something else, so until I open it, we don't know. And it's another bid. Foods Galore Inc. And the bid amount. $144,052.14 with the bid bond. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to entertain a motion to be awarding of the bids until May 20th so that the correctional facility can review all of the bids. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion to recommend the award of the Pike County Jail UV disinfection replacement project to TAM Enterprises in the amount of $20,840. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Under new business, motion to approve the Share Housing Fair Grant April 2026 request in the amount of $5,130 on behalf of the Area Agency on Aging. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the following human service payment vouchers on behalf of the Office of Human Services Homeless Assistance Program in the amount of $1,794.94 and Human Services Development Fund in the amount of $5,171.30. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the Affordable Housing Fund payment voucher in the amount of $11,168 payable to the Delaware Run Associates on behalf of the Office of Human Services. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to execute Pike County Rental Assistance Annual Recertification Contract number 51 on behalf of the Office of Human Services. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to recommend appointment of Matthew M. Osterberg to the Northeastern Pennsylvania Metropolitan Planning Organization Board as the county representative. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Number 6, motion to recommend appointment of Michael Mrzinski to the National Northeastern Pennsylvania Metropolitan Planning Organization Board as the at-large representative. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, under miscellaneous, as of every meeting, we have the Penn State Extension calendar events. The Habitat we already took care of, and now we move to press and public comment. Who's first? Okay.
Hello, my name is Taylor Miza, and I'm here with the Southwest Energy in Pike County. As some of you may be aware, First Energy under MedEd wants to build the Shawnee Walker 69 kV high voltage transmission line in our community, and that would extend from the Smithfield substation, go to the Bushkill substation, then to the Birchwood Lake substation, and then to the Shahola Walker substation. Overall, it's about 30 miles in length, and for about half the total scale of the project, would require brand new construction. As a general overview, the project overall requires 60-foot easements, and we're looking at metal towers, which we confirmed based on our correspondence with the Saw Creek Estates community manager. Metal towers upwards of 90 feet to 95 feet tall. These are very large structures, and it would be a first for our area, specifically in Pike County. And more often than that, I just wanted to talk to the commissioners, get their official positions on the project, and also actually address some inaccurate information that has been brought up during these meetings. So to start, it was indicated that this project would add us to the PGM grid. We already are part of the PGM grid, at least parts of Pike County are. Maybe not the Milford area, but Pike County is beyond Milford. The Birchwood substation, the Bushkill substation are connected to the Smithfield substation, which is connected to the PGM grid. Pike County is already in the PGM grid. It was stated here that this would lower costs. This is also inaccurate. When you actually look at how these transmission companies under MEIT, which is a subsidiary of First Energy, what they do is they actually pass these costs along to the consumer. So the way they pay for these projects is through increasing your electrical bill or using what's called a FERC recoupment, which is a separate line on your bill. Also on top of that, if you look at the Maryland's People Council, they've already done studies on this, and as of March 2026, they found that transmission line costs make up 10% of their utility bills, and they expect them to increase exponentially due to the scopes of projects that are being planned for our area. So the fact that a transmission line project would decrease our costs, at best, it cannot be proved. And there's also evidence that suggests that actually increases costs. Because again, these companies, they pay for these projects through your utility bill. So again, I just want to ask the commissioners what they officially feel about this project. I believe Commissioner Osborne, you support the project. I see you also have a flyer for the Shawnee Walker line on your desk, but I just want to ask what the other commissioners, where they stand. And then also, in that case, if you do support the project, then do you support the use of eminent domain? It is, at least in respect to the project, they do not have all the right-of-ways they need to complete the project as is. And I know for a fact, the Quinn family farm, Alan Quinn, April Quinn, which I believe you know, Alan Quinn and Owens have rejected their offers and will continue to do so. He says that he will not take $1 million, $10 million, $100 million. It's looking like it's going to go to an eminent domain fight in respect to their property. I've heard that the Eureka Quarry does not want to grant the right-of-way access. It's looking like they'll have to eminent domain the Eureka Quarry. There are a number of residents that live along Route 6 that have not given into the right-of-way or given the demands. They are going to be eminent domain too. So I want to ask, if you do support the project, then do you support the eminent domain? In respect to the Quinn family, I know Senta Quinn worked in this building for decades. She's no longer with us, but from what my research had done in the historical record, she was a very prominent figure in this building for the county and did years of service and years of work. So again, would the county commissioner support eminent domain her family property that she left to her children and to her grandchildren?
So let's make a correction here. Senator Quinn is still with us.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not.
The older Senator Quinn, the original Senator Quinn.
Senator Quinn that worked in this office is still alive.
Oh, is she Auntie Senta, the daughter of Senator Quinn, who was married to?
She was the chief clerk
Yeah.
of this county, and Senator Quinn is alive and well at 95 years of age.
Okay.
She was chief clerk when my first time here.
Yeah, right, so she's not.
Did her mother work for the county as well?
Her mother?
Yes.
Well, Senator Quinn's 95 years old. I don't think her mother did. I think you're confusing. Alan or one of them has a child named Senta who's in her 20s, and her aunt who is 95,
Yes.
who was the chief clerk.
Her mother was also named Senta. She married into the family.
But that woman passed away like probably 60 years ago. I mean, Senator Quinn is 90.
Yes.
The woman who you're claiming who did work in this county, or pictures in the office, is still alive.
Okay.
Don't need that to be on the news here in respect to the Quinn family,
Yeah.
that somehow she is not here, because she's going to be the Grand Marshal of the 250th parade, so
Yes.
okay.
Well, it doesn't change the fact that.
I understand, but
Yes.
just want to make sure that fact is
Just to
out.
let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's still alive. But you're right, she did work
Well,
for all those years.
If I may, Taylor, I did not catch the last name, and I do apologize.
It's Biza, ma'am.
I will be happy to weigh, okay, I will be happy to weigh in first. I did want to clarify, it is my understanding that the project has two methods or two ways goals. One will be more costly to them upfront, but it would avoid many houses and avoid a lot of the concerns that, our neighbors are sharing. I wanted to confirm with you if that is in fact true. Because if that is true, then as I said at our last meeting, I absolutely support the alternative route that would provide the least amount of headache and heartache to our community. But I also at the same time support progress, and I don't know to what extent this would actually be truly beneficial to us as a county as opposed to the utility company, which, as you have already stated, makes money through infrastructure projects such as this and passes the cost on to all of us rather than profits from bringing in gas and electric. So I wanted to get that answer from you first, Taylor, if I may.
Yes, ma'am. So I do have answers for both of those. So the route was changed from the original inception. A flyer was released in January 2020 that showed a different route that made heavy use of state game lands It did cut across some private parcels, which is unfortunate, and it basically went from the state game lands where the Bushkill substation is, it cut across state game lands up to and cut back into the Birchwood Lake substation, onto Doolin, and then from Doolin it went across the YMCA camp, on the backside of the high school, and then across a parcel that is owned by DEPG Properties or developers, the same developer for the Smithfield Gateway, and then it went across 739 through the state game lands again, on the back end of Sunrise, and then through state game lands onto the other side of the Walker substation. At some time between 2020 and 2022, when they released the letter and the current letter that we have, they changed it. We do not know why they changed the route, and as far as we could tell, that old information was scrubbed from the internet. We actually had to go back 5-6 years on Facebook to the Delaware Township Board of Supervisors who happened to post it, and we were lucky enough to find it. But that is a question that we want to pose onto First Energy and ask them why they changed the route and why they're going a route that affects more people objectively and doesn't rely at all on state game lands. And to your second point, this is, I want to say, it kind of gets into opinion in respect to why they're doing the project. So this all kind of started in 2018. Obviously, we had the storms. The PUC identified a need to do something to improve reliability to the area in respect to the 2018 storm that a lot of us remember and lived through. They said a redundancy line would be the best option. And what it basically is it's all the thing that's new that's being built is a line connecting the Walker substation to the Birchwood Lake substation. A single line. Now, when you actually look at what caused the outages for majority of people here in 2018, it wasn't necessarily these transmission lines, it was the distribution lines. It was the lines that actually feed people power to their homes. And the thing is, our distribution network is not maintained to the standard that it needs to be. If you just drive around along 01, 739 around, you'll see that First Energy does not properly maintain the existing right-of-ways or the existing easements for their power lines. So that makes them more susceptible to damage from downed trees, from high winds, and to icing. If you look at the damage that was done in 2018, a single transmission line is not going to help us out when you have 50 plus power lines down. 01 was completely blocked. You had 8 lines down in a single span. 739 was completely blocked. Silver Lake was completely blocked. And not only is it, those are main thoroughfare distribution lines. These main arteries are what feed all the different streets, because you drive around, there's not a lot of cross streets, there's not a lot of ways to get around on the mountain. It's 739, it's Log Tavern Road, and it's 01, and maybe you'll be lucky to have some connecting roads. If those main distribution arteries are taken out, a single redundancy from a transmission line is not going to help those people. And it sure as hell is not going to help them if there's 15 lines down on the road and yet first responders can't even get through. So, with respect to a single transmission line, it changes where you can feed power from. In this case, for Birchwood, it just adds one redundancy. But the thing is, if the distribution lines are so damaged, it's still not going to help the people get the power that they need. And in that respect, maybe it might improve. I believe people are out of power for over 14, 15 days. Maybe you can make the case that it might decrease the time by 3 to 5 days, but there's no guarantee that a single redundancy line, which, mind you, the same line is going to be at the same mercy of the same weather that is also damaging the transmission lines. There's nothing to say that the lines feeding the Bushkill substation up to Birchwood could get damaged, because again, those are also sub-distribution lines. There's no saying that this isolated line from Shawnee Walker substation down to Birchwood also won't be damaged. And then on top of that, at least in respect to the line that's run from Shahola to Birchwood, this is all in backcountry. It's very isolated and hard to get to. It's hard to access. It's going to be taller than most trees. It's going to be at the mercy of the wind. It's going to be at the mercy of the ice. There's a lot of things to keep into account. So to act like it will improve reliability, it's not a guarantee. It's going to be a huge cost, and personally, I believe money would be better spent actually improving the distribution lines of things that actually feed people's homes. Because again, you just drive around our area, and you could see dozens of examples of trees that should be cut back. right-of-ways that should be properly maintained. That's what actually improves how power gets fed to customers and to people's homes. I drive around, ever since this all started, I've really kind of paid more attention to power lines and everything, and I go to certain areas, and the trees are completely cut back, they're properly maintained 10 feet away. You drive around here, it's very bad.
Yeah, if I can comment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your advocacy on this and bringing this to everyone's attention. Of course, we would like to see a better route that impacted less people. I do stand behind the senator and the state rep in their recent inquiry on this. This is a very difficult subject, and I don't know how we can help, but we'll do what we can to help.
Yeah.
And I will say where I come from, and I'm from the other end of the county, there was a large transmission line through Hoadley's Road and put in there, and it has I'm a business owner up there, without that same power at that same time, but it has increased the reliability, and they have started to maintain them better. I totally concur with you that the lines throughout the county and throughout the state are terribly maintained, and it's not hard to find, and I wonder why they can't do better. They have done better since they've made that improvement up by me. Will it be here? There is no guarantees, but we will stand by the municipalities in this, and I know their concerns. We've talked to them and expressed our same concerns, and we'll support where they're going with this, both in Dingman and Delaware.
Yes. No, everyone, we have support from State Senator Lisa Baker, Representative Olsmore. They do not support the route as planned.
Yeah.
State Representative Tara Probst has also said she does not support the route as planned. Multiple candidates have said they do not support this project. I know definitively that Delaware Township, yes, has taken a firm stance on it. We have talked to many other different boards of supervisors, but they are also equally in the dark. If you talk to Dingman Township Board of Supervisors, they've gotten zero response to their correspondence, zero response to the letters. In that case, they plan to run the transmission lines co-located with the Columbia Gas Line 1278 for 3 miles within 50 to 100 feet, which also increases risks.
Yes.
Anytime you...
I'd just like to add to my
Yeah.
comment, I agree with you. I don't
Yeah.
support the route. I do support that we need to continue
Yeah.
to build infrastructure and improve reliability and create capacities for businesses that may want to come into the area. So it's a conflicting view of this.
It is conflicting, and I understand that. And again, we understand the difficult nature of this. But in that respect, a lot of people are very concerned about the development that this will bring. And rest assured, if they do build this, it will bring more development. I know at least in my case, I moved to this community, I moved to this area to escape what was happening in New Jersey. I don't recognize where I grew up anymore. I grew up in a rural, Hunterdon County, if you're familiar with, I grew up in a rural area. I don't recognize where I grew up anymore, and I wanted to get away from that development. I wanted to move somewhere, which I moved into the middle of the woods. Literally moved into the middle of the woods, only to find out now the power company wants to build power lines on my property. That's how I got involved in this. And I was shocked that here I am trying to escape New Jersey, and now I'm right back into what I was trying to escape. And I know for a fact a lot of people moved out here also have a similar pace of life. And there's, I understand progress, but also progress for the sake of progress. And, if you progress towards a cliff, is that really progress at the end of the day? But I know a lot of people are very concerned with what can come after that. Because again, if they do increase the overall capacity, it will make this entire area more attractive to warehouses. Despite what has been reported by the first energy rep on News 13, it would be able to power a data center, definitely not a hyperscale, but anything in the 5 to 15 megawatt range is a possibility of being powered, which is a warehouse size. It's still a lot of power. For context, a megawatt is 1,300 residential homes. So 5 megawatts, that's effectively 7,500 homes.
So Taylor, if I may finish my thought briefly, because I know Matt is going to want to jump in at some point. I am absolutely against eminent domain of any kind. I stand behind any resident that would face losing their home and or property that's been passed down through generations right, for this particular project. I do understand, that there are residents in the Milford area who would potentially benefit from something like this happening, and I know Matt has a lot more information about that. So in the interest of transparency, there was support for funding to make that happen if, and this is well before the, the upgrade and uproar about this particular project. So there seem to be competing interests with respect to that. With those particular residents, but again, for the record, I'm against eminent domain. I am in favor of the original plan, which you claim is scrapped, or is not really readily available. And yeah, definitely more discussion needs to be had on this.
I think unfortunately for both routes, eminent domain is involved. But I can say for with certainty that Alan Quinn, at least for the route they planned through the Quinn property, Alan does not want to give him the right of way, and I know for a fact, at least per his words, a representative for First Energy came and he said, "I'm the guy you don't want to see." So it's looking like it is going towards an eminent domain fight in respect to the Quinn property. And then I know for a fact there are people along the Route 6 corridor for the route planning that have not given it. Actually, I know someone personally that is on Route 6 who has not granted it, and if they don't grant it, they will turn it eminent domain.
Okay, then you and I have to have a discussion on that. Thank you.
Folsom are looking to have this meeting. I don't know if they've gotten a response from them yet. We did write a letter back in '23, which says right here, we welcome the update to the grid, but request that additional routes be explored. We never heard back, and that's why we're pushing this further, and then the whole thing dropped off. But as far as upgrading of infrastructure in this county, when this was proposed, the word data center was not in anybody's vocabulary. The warehouse was not in anybody's vocabulary. And I know there's been discussion out there that somehow this is what and again, I know this is all hearsay stuff, that we're somehow driving this because we want these data centers. We have no control over that. That's all a local zoning issue. I don't know of any township that is truly advocating for data centers. In fact, what I read in the local paper just yesterday is that many of the townships are putting in moratoriums against them and putting in ordinances to curtail their use. They can't stop them. They can't zone them out. But at the same time, you talk about lowering costs and all that, and talking about this part of Pike County. I never said this was going to connect to here, right? The only way this can be a benefit to down here is we sit on the New York line. That's it. We have no redundant electricity. I've stated this at a meeting 4 years ago. Power went out in Westtown, New York, on the other side of Port Jervis. We're out of power for 5 days, and we're absolutely at the mercy of New York State. To me, to the 3,500 residents that live down here, that is not fair. We have spoken to FERC about this. We have talked to Med-Ed about this. We have talked to Pike County Light and Power. Pike County Light and Power would have to pay the money to run from here to wherever this transmission line come out. Obviously, the closer it would come out at the quarry, the less impact it has on costs to the people in this region. Now, I hear what you're saying, it's a big county, but we also represent the entire county. Now, it just happens to be that I happen to live in this part of the county, but that's just the way this is, right? But we do need to look at this. So we do appreciate the fact that we don't want this to be taking people's property if they don't need to. That's why we're asking them to look at another route. But I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that somehow, I'm just gonna be honest with it, this is going to happen, okay? I've been around this a long time. And I will talk about something that happened here probably 8 years ago with a pipeline going across Cummings Hill. The gas pipeline should have went up, come down, and went underneath what you know as Econopac, Sparkomatic. The pipeline is there, went over into Jersey, right? We said, okay, let's do that. The Park Service said, you're not coming on our property, even to upgrade the pipeline. We spent money to stop that eminent domain of property across Cummings Hill. We hired attorneys out of New Jersey or out of Washington, D.C., spent tens of thousands of dollars. And you know what the pipeline is? It's built across Cummings Hill, comes down right alongside the high school, and it's there. So I'm not saying that we didn't have some impact on them of how much land they were taking, and I think that's all we can do here is we can talk to them. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this isn't going to happen. And I don't like eminent domain more than anyone else in this room. But they're, you know, when you read their document, now unless they're lying to us, First Energy identified a need for enhanced transmission service in the area, among other comments, which is aligned with the Pennsylvania Public Utilities Commission's 2019 recommendation. And you're right, this all comes back from what happened in 2018. And now I'll go back to 2018. Again, no one in 2018 was even thinking about data centers. We weren't thinking about warehouses. We were thinking about how power can be more resilient and redundant. And that is what Ron is saying happened up there. When I talked to some of the people in the southern part of this county, they welcome this because they were the ones that were truly affected by the power going out. I hear what you're saying, like they could do better jobs with clearing the lines into people's homes. That was the problem down here also. And we forced, back then it was Orange and Rockland, to do that. But speaking about somebody who has no redundant electricity, this area of Pike County has zero redundancy. As far as economic development, yeah, we do need to have bigger infrastructure things. Not for what the fear is that we're gonna build a data center, but maybe there is just other smaller entities that could be built here. No one in this room, including me or anybody, looking to pave over paradise, but we do need to have economic growth in this county. Because at times, and I know there's gonna be discussions maybe later in the meeting about where the county gets their dollars and cents from. Well, there's only one place the county, the school, and everybody gets their dollars and cents from, and that's from the taxpayers. Well, unless we want to try and build up more development, we're not going to get any more money. So the only thing we can do then is lean on all of you. Well, isn't it better that we figure out how we can have some type of sensible infrastructure and then have some sensible economic development in the county to generate more income into the county? Of course we do. I hear what you're saying. I feel bad that somebody may be impacted by this, but we'll have these meetings with them and try to mitigate as much as we can the harm. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that somehow we're going to do a magic wand and this is not, and all of a sudden they're going to say no.
No, trust me, I understand.
Okay, just so we know, but I'm being honest with you.
There's only one entity that can wave a magic wand, and that, or two actually, that's the PUC and the DEP.
And
We understand that you can't just wave your hand and make that, but again, we're trying to share information, we're trying to raise awareness, and in respect to data center, so for context, a property owner that owns a large property, they own about 265 acres on the original route. The original route cut that property directly. I believe it was called the Dingman Town Center. I understand that property on hold, but that same developer, DEPG, they're the ones behind the Smithfield Gateway, that large project right off of 80, right on 209. When they started that project, they did not intend to put a data center there. They recently made an amendment, or requested an amendment in December of last year to put a data center. And now, like I said, this was not the common vernacular, but it is now. And as the saying goes, if you build it, they will come. There are no proposed projects right now in Pike County, that is a fact. But there are people with deep pockets who pay attention to stuff like this, that have the insight on stuff like this. They plan in terms of 5 to 10 years. They don't think as week to week, month to month, year to year as we do. Because again, we all have things that we need to worry about. There's people plan this out. I'm just saying it's a very strong possibility. And I think I just wanted to, at least in that respect, I just want to push back against First Energy, who flat out said by the works that they could not power that type of infrastructure. Maybe that's definitely true for a hyperscale, but where the kind of the devil in the details was is she don't specify the size. Now
is that in Dingman Township?
Yes, that is Dingman Township.
So what is Dingman Township's plan for their zoning? This goes back to the warehouse when everybody was in here like telling us that we need to do something about the warehouse. We have nothing to do with this. So if somebody is going to build on that property and Dingman's has its zone for it, there's not much any of us are going to do about it. But the other thing about the data centers, and we went to these seminars, is that most of these data centers that are coming into regions are being told you need to bring your own power. Right? Now, how they do that, I don't know, but there's all sorts of discussions with nuclear and all this type of stuff, right? And water, right? They have to do that, right? And I hear what you're saying about that property. I know exactly where it is, but what is Dingman Township, I think, is working on an ordinance. Well, that's where this needs to go. And maybe it'll get scaled to the point where it'll be so small that nobody will want to build it because Dingman's will put in the type of zoning. to restrict the size, which is totally within their purview to do that.
And then you briefly touched on the MPS and how they borrowed a pipeline. I just want to bring up a cruel irony that I've learned studying the historical context of all the easements and the right-of-ways that they have. So when you look at the right-of-ways that you use to build this corridor, it corresponds with what's called R24. And all the easements and right-of-ways reference R24, so it's R24, and then there's a numerical and letter designation. All these correspond to technical drawings that are tied to the right-of-ways, which do not come up when you when you look in the recorder of deeds. These drawings are not tied to the right-of-ways and easements. So just looking at the right-of-ways and easements that exist, there's no way to get a context for what they actually entail. The people that actually own the drawings are First Energy Med. If you want to see the technical drawings, you have to talk to them directly. However, when you look at all the easements, and I've done extensive research on this, when you look at all the easements and right-of-ways that they're using to build this corridor, they were all acquired in the late 60s and the early 70s. If you actually look at the actual metadata for all right-of-way acquisitions by Metropolitan Edison, who was the main company at the time, between 1965 and 1975, the average number of right-of-way acquisition doubled. In 1975, it dropped by 66%. There's only one thing happening in the county at this time that would warrant building an electrical corridor of that size, and for the fact that they paid a premium. For context, the right-of-way on my property in 1972, 1973, they paid $12,000. That is the equivalent now of $100,000 when you account for inflation. That is top dollar. That, I believe the county hired its first county detective in around that time in the 1970s. His yearly salary was $3,000. So when we look at that, and also I also learned I finally got information regarding First Energy, their annual report from 1970. They had a 50% stake at the time in JCP&L. JCP&L was the main company behind the hydroelectric dam project for Tops Island. So the company Med that was building these right-of-way corridors had a 50% stake in the company that was behind the main hydroelectric dam project that was being built as part of the Tops Island. Well, I'm still doing more research, but it seems that they are using a right-of-way corridor that they built in anticipation of Tops Island, the same project that destroyed Dingman's Ferry, that took parts of Dingman Township and Lehman Township, the same thing that built the recreational area that they are now not letting them use to build. And again, I've talked about this at length, and I do think that it's very compelling. Again, I'm still doing more research. I'm still trying to get on more annual reports. It's very hard to find data that's 50 years old. It's still possible. But again, I've said this, the ghost of Tops Island Dam lives on through this project. Whether not, obviously they're not directly related, they're not part of the same project, but they are using the very easements of right-of-ways that they built on that off the back of Tops Island, which you lost your home, correct? So it's just, and it's very cruel that they're going to be coming back to use eminent domain, the same tool that they used to remove 3,000 people from their homes from this area. So again, there's a very compelling historical context to this, and I think that even though it doesn't change anything happening now, I think it's important for people to remember that, again, Tops Island is still affecting this area.
No doubt.
Yeah. So,
No doubt. The chances of getting this through the national park is going to be.
But I just want to highlight
No,
that.
no, I hear you.
It's
That's
a
why I
cruel-
brought up the pipeline up there.
It's a cruel irony that the very thing that the government did in that domain, they're now barring because they're using the right-of-ways that they got in anticipation of it. But again, I just want, I'm sure people don't speak this much normally at these, so I just want to thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you. We will be in contact with Senator Baker. and
you're
find
gonna
out.
be, that I want to be on the record. We expect that meeting, we implore that meeting to be public, because.
Oh, that meeting will be public. It's not. Lisa Baker and Jeff Olson are not looking to do this behind closed doors.
Okay.
They're not.
No,
That's not how they operate. That's not how we operate.
really want to be able to talk, because they have people that are trained. It's literally their job to be a media liaison, to say what they need to say in order to make the project go through. That's their job. We understand that. But again, we're going to keep doing our work. StopFirstEnergy.com, Stop First Energy Pike on Facebook. We have a petition. We have nearly 450 signatures, physical petition. you can expect some letters coming your way if you haven't gotten them already.
Yep.
But we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And again, thank you for letting us speak. And while we know you can't necessarily do anything to stop this project, we do appreciate the support, and we're just going to do what we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today.
Kevin?
Taylor, in your presentation, and I think there's going to be another conversation that's as a nexus or lateral reference. Pike County is an aging county from a population standpoint. There's probably more and more people over 65 growing in Pike County than probably ever before going back to your career. We're getting older, the residents.
Thanks for reminding me.
I know, I can't believe I'm gonna be 73. That fact, it's an aging population. You have the fact, from an infrastructure standpoint, that God bless Lisa and Jeff. I think you guys just got another $350,000 for the medical.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to move towards getting a hospital. We talk about ICE at the correctional facility. It's a revenue maker. Heck, trying to get revenue into Pike County. I mean, there was just an incident a day or two ago where a 60-year-old guy just got a fine for invalid voting ballot or something like that. So you can see the dedication of law enforcement in Pike County, trying to find ways of getting money into the county. I did the same thing you did, Taylor. All property is part of the old Metz family legacy. We're right on Vegas still right on Route 6. And a couple of years ago, we bought an additional almost 12 acres on either side of Raymond's Hill. The same reason you guys do, because we love the area, we love the woods and whatnot. Yeah, and I'm probably about 30, 40 years older than you. I see the reality that this county, and we've been in this county since '77, we can't change the broader picture of what's happening to businesses, the government, and everything that we live on as humans day in, day out. You're not going to be able to change that. So just look at that big picture I just told you. And an attorney, an eminent domain attorney, he or she is going to do their research. And right off the bat, they don't look at like the EPA, Mike Sullivan statistics, and know population that they're dealing with. They're going to say, hey, we're not doing anything bad. What we're doing is we're ensuring that that 65, 70, 80-year-old person is not going to be without 18 days. Because they can't, on their limited income, they can't afford a propane generator. They can't afford, a lot of things, because they're on a fixed income. Mike from Habitat, he's talking about how many homes are being built, and those people barely make $700 a month, affordability, which, Habitat helps them with the mortgage and all that type of stuff. So I guess in some ways I'm trying to put on a broader lens onto the picture. When we're addressing something like First Energy or the monies that we're collecting from ICE or fines or anything like that, that we have to look at it broadly as opposed to, I know my own plea is a negative word and I don't want to offend you in any way or anybody from concerning about ICE detainees in the correctional facility. We just need as a county to continue to look at all the tentacles of life. And like I say, when I was a kid in the 50s through now, money doesn't grow on trees. We have a heck of a lot of forests out there, and if they did, we'd be very rich people.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Next. Go ahead, whichever. Couple of straws.
I'd like to read a statement. The article in Dispatch applauding yourselves for the windfall of ICE money for housing immigrants is disgusting, immoral, and extremely concerning. As you know, detainees are categorized as 0 to 4 on criminality rating, and all of the immigrants at detainees are 0, not the worst of the worst by any stretch of the imagination. Taking blood money does not address the underlying financial issues of the county, but acts as a cover-up for fiscal management issues. No other county in PA is so dependent on the suffering of others to make their budget. Using immigrants is the same logic as plantation owners used to justify slavery, addiction to free money. This is a parasite on the community and the country that does not do anything to make Pike County better. We continually hear the original sin was the detention facility was overbuilt in 1995. So what can we do? 30 years seems like enough time to develop a different strategy, and I hope we do so because it is extremely disconcerting to have our county have 40% of our budget depending on the blood money of immigrants. Thank you.
It'll be 2 weeks now till the Ulster Data Center private meeting, yes? So
Say it again, I can't hear you.
On the 15th, there's a data center meeting with Rep. Ulster. Are you guys attending?
We were sent the invitation. What day is that again, Jill? I'm sorry.
May 15th.
May 15th. Yeah.
Are you attending? I hear it's a closed invite-only meeting, and do you know if the DRBC will be in attendance?
I was not aware of any
Yeah, this-
email.
I think this was just announced, right?
This was just, yeah, I just sent out the emails. The emails did go to supervisors and planners only. That is correct.
So
It went to where, Jill? I'm sorry, it went to supervisor?
Supervisors and planners for townships,
Okay.
because those are the
Right.
ones who make the rules. not-
We got, let me just, Krista, we got an email, I believe, from Mike Merzinski. They're just saying it went from their office to township supervisors and the county planners. And I think we got an email just, I want to say it's just yesterday, the day before, this week. I have to look on here.
Yeah, you got it Thursday of last week, but
Maybe it was the time flies when you have them front up here.
we have almost 40 registered, so we have pretty good attendance this time.
Yeah, good.
And yes, we'll be there.
Yeah, we would be there. Yeah, we were at the last one.
But will the DRBC, were they included in this conversation?
This is for townships.
Yeah, Krista was on there. Yeah, we were on there. Like I said, we got a million emails. We missed some. Sorry. Anybody else?
Just a question about, there was a discussion at the township meeting the other night with regards to the mini hospital proposal. And it was said at the meeting that the understanding was that the county, and I wanted to ask for your comment on this, the county is leaning toward a location that would be on the three-way. And at this particular meeting, they were saying that they felt that the feeling was that Blooming Grove is a little more centrally located, and I guess they were looking at making an appeal to the county in that respect as far as that goes. That is the county in fact looking at a location on that 3-lane highway, and also is there any possibility they could consider, they might consider Blooming Grove?
Ron will answer this. We've been on this road for a while.
I also would love to have seen a development in Blooming Grove, but just to clarify a couple of things, we're not building it. It's going to be a private company that would build it. And after exhaustive studies by a number of hospital systems, they decided where it could be, and it needs to be closest to the largest population base and traffic. Hospitals, as we learned, are built similar to big box stores, dependent on traffic, visibility, and population circles around them. I grew up on 739 right next to the property that we own in Blooming Grove, and I can attest to a lifetime of knowing that nobody drives there. Nobody goes by there. The traffic count there is lower almost than any other place in the county. So the corridor that they have chosen to build the facility is the corridor surrounding the Milford area because of the population base bleeding over into New York and New Jersey. I don't think that the 3-lane is what they're looking for. What they're looking for is proximity to 84 and the ability to get in and out of a facility quickly. We have met with them on numerous properties to try to help them navigate this, and it's led by Northwell Health. And they still have a full commitment to come here. We're trying to ease that a little bit by raising money through the senator, the state rep, and other sources. Because as we said from the very beginning, if this was something that was viable to do and something that somebody could make money at, a system would already be in place in Pike County. This is a heavy, heavy lift financially for even a company as large as Northwell. And we want to make that lift and that access to our knowledge of where properties are and potential properties a little easier. So I think that answers your question, but our first choice was the property that we already own in Blooming Grove. They have no interest in building a facility in that facility, that property, because of where it's located in the county.
They're looking at, I don't know, I'm sorry, I had to step out. They're looking at traffic counts, just like any other viable business or whatever we look at. And the traffic count on 739 in front of the correctional facility is 1,200 cars a day. There's no one there, and half of them are Ron's relatives. So, but when you come down into this part of Pike County, obviously, I mean, this road out in front of you is something like 18,000 cars a day. Route 84 is 20,000 cars. So, you know, these are business decisions that they have to make. We, as Ron said, we were thinking for the ambulance services also that the center of the county would be the perfect spot, right? Because the ambulances would have equal distance to get to. But that's not what they look at, because then we come to find out that 90% of the people that present themselves in an emergency room bring themselves. As much as we want to think that ambulances are run all over the county, it's the other way around. And I guess we should know that, because when any of us had visited an emergency room and we find out that we're number 97 on the list, we know that, oh, I guess there's other people coming here. And they're not all coming by ambulances, so we're working at it, but yes.
I want to mention something about the women's health services in this county. I'm a nurse midwife, and my name is Carol Shipman. And the Digman's Ferry Women's Health Center closed down, and there's no women's services for women in this community. And I'm really very, as a midwife, concerned, because the services are not available to them. And if you look at the closest place is Honesdale, and that's like an hour away. And the average commute for women in the community is 45 minutes. And if you're going to Honesdale, it's another hour, and maybe, almost another hour. And if you put that down for 45 minutes and for their commute, and then another hour, and the facility closes at 6:30, there's no way that they can get there.
We have raised all of that with Northwell, so because there's been community discussions. I know Commissioner Caceres has raised this with them also. But I don't know why the one closed in Wayne, because that's who was running that, I believe,
right,
up on 739. I have no idea why it did. But when we talk to them, about women's health. We understand that's important. We talk about pediatrics, because that's important. Unfortunately, we live what I'll call in a medical desert.
Right, exactly.
And it has evolved over time. And I've said here many times, people sometimes want to say, well, whose fault? It's nobody's fault. It's the way the county was developed over time, because for the longest while, Port Jervis in New York was the mainstay for this entire county. 1980, to give you an idea on population, in 1980, the largest municipality in the county was Matamoros. That's not that long ago, right? For some of us in the room, right? But things have changed, and also I believe what we stress with Northwell is, and they know this, that we need to make medical more local, because it's going to make for a healthier community if these things are kept closer. So we do explain to them about women's health. That is one of the topics that I know Krista has brought up numerous times to them, and we hear you.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, Matt, I just wanted to add a shipment. I know I met you in December. Val, could you sing on for just a second? Val?
Yeah, she was just saying, Krista.
Yeah.
Yes, if you can hang on for just a second, I see you leaving, I'm sorry, just give me just a moment to finish my thought with Ms. Shipman, and I'm gonna say something to you. Ms. Shipman, I know we met in December, and you would express your commitment to maintaining women's health in the county. You went as far as to get licensed here in Pennsylvania. to
Yes,
be
I
able to
did.
Continue that practice. We did exchange emails. I did provide your resume to my colleague, Commissioner Smallsley, who was supposed to forward that on to the decision makers at Wayne, when and if, and hopefully it will be when, the Women's Center is reopened. So again, to kind of piggyback on Chairman Osberg's statements, I have and will continue to be a proponent for women's health in this county, and I do appreciate all that you have done to try to help make that possible. Now, Ms. Bell, I do want to say to you with all due respect before you go, I fully understand and I respect your feeling with respect to the ICE agreement that's been in place for over 30 years. But I will say with all due respect, I take extreme offense to you relating anything that I would be associated with slaveholders. To try to equate that in any way, and there is no relation. My people were beaten, raped, bred, and worked for free. That's all I want to say.
I have no argument with that.
So the one other thing, back to the medical. This is why we stress though to people, you know, and we'll find, I guess, I don't know if we really found out why it closed on 739. But the important thing to remember is as these urgent cares, emergent cares, whatever term they use for them, the important part of this is we as residents need to use them if we want them to be successful.
And the urgent cares are just opened like 9 to 5.
We know,
and they're not even open, so they're not really urgent care.
Correct, that's why emergent care.
Because they're,
yes.
yeah. So
It's
they're
not good enough.
It's not good enough, and we're working with them to do it, but you know, I guess what we have to say is, you know, they're here, they've made the first step. We had no one else even thinking
But
about
funding
it.
midwives and
Yeah.
having midwives to do women's health care is a lot cheaper than having the doctors do it. So there is a way, there should be a way
Yeah.
that women can be taken care of here by midwives.
I agree with you, and I do want to tell you that I did take your application and forwarded it on to the CEO of Wayne Memorial, and it's Wayne Memorial Hospital and Wayne Memorial Health Systems are now two separate organizations, so I sent it on to the new director there, and we welcome that. It closed because they couldn't staff it, one. It closed temporarily, and I was told that they're reopening at their facility outside of Hemlock Farms, moving out of that Dingman location and moving to the facility out for financial reasons and infrastructure reasons. So if it isn't reopened now, it will be, and that's what I was told as recently as 2 weeks ago when I met with them. So thank you for your interest and continuing to speak out on this. We totally concur with you.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Motion to adjourn. So done.
Thank you, everyone.